Old School RuneScape is one of the most social MMOs ever made, yet it's surprisingly difficult to actually play with other people. Old School RuneScape has survived for 13 years. I think it's safe to say it's not going anywhere. But that doesn't mean it's done everything perfect. Perfectly? Perfect? Something like that. Good now, Yamsters. Welcome to an official Yamis production. My name is Yamis, aka the Yamis Hamis, and today we must discuss group encounters, raids, minigames, stuff like that. Specifically related to the grouping aspect, and even more specifically related to the ability to form groups, or rather, the inability to form groups. This video will be broken down into two different sections: how to form groups, and should a traditional group finder be added, which basically means the pros and cons of a group finder. How to form groups. Grouping in Old School RuneScape is very unique compared to every other game. The big three ways of doing group content is to either join a clan in the game, join a Discord, which is an external source that you'd have to use, or switch to the dedicated world. So we have two ways of doing it from within the game and one way outside of it. I always like to say that for the most part, playing Old School RuneScape doesn't really feel like we're playing it together, but rather we're all playing Old School RuneScape at the same time. There's a few exceptions to the saying, but that's basically all it is, exceptions. So far, personally, the main thing that feels like you do it together is actually Barbarian Assault, which is so wild to think about. Let me know if you think I'm wrong about this, and let me know what content you think works well for people interacting with each other. But as for the playing together aspect, literally, think of everything that isn't Barbarian Assault. Wintertod, Temperos, literally every boss. Zalcano, Knee, the boss under Sleep. You know, like SLEPE. Even the Cow Fight Queen, KBD. In the quest you fight me. Like, literally, it's called me, but it's you, but it's me, but it's you, but okay, don't worry about it. The Royal Titans, what happens when you fight them? Okay, maybe that one's not like the others. Oh yes, the Barrows Brothers. Okay, that's enough. The point is that we're talking about the duality of autism when it comes to joining these groups. So what do I mean by the duality of autism? Some players straight up are too scared or embarrassed to interact with people, either for being shamed in the past for something, or because they imagine their group mates are expecting them to play perfect the first time, and every time after. And that's actually a very sad state of affairs, thinking that you have to be perfect when the best of the best players, they will die multiple times before ever competing any of the stuff that they're doing the first time, especially when it comes to this endgame new stuff. These people were not completing the maggot boss on the first attempt, so don't worry about it. Don't get into your head that much. Of course, it could just be, you know, reserved, timid autism that's holding them back from having any social interactions, but then simultaneously on the other end of the spectrum, get it? Spectrum talk? Nah, but seriously, some people are severely autistic when speaking to people, and it can be in different ways, such as, oh, you didn't optimize every tick. That's a -1 tick. Oh, I'm never doing this again with you because you lost that 1 tick. And then also like the autism that makes them have no understanding of social interactions, which just makes them a huge annoying penile, where they'd say stuff like, yeah, dude, you missed a tick. That makes you bad. You're bad. Get good. Stuff like that. But not only limited to that, there's the autistic retards. These are the Brian Griffins, if you will. They'll say some of the most like gas-lamping, condescending BS that they think they're being kind or like thinking they're encouraging people to play with them, but then they realize like they have no friends. Yeah, dude, you missed a tick, but I'm not mad that you're inferior. Or yeah, dude, you didn't land the Warhammer spec, and I'm not mad that it's your fault that the boss's defense didn't get weakened. And it's just like, you're talking about an RNG aspect on a hit landing. All right, trust me, I could speak about autists all day, but we must move on. I think there's many pros and cons to adding a grouping system. One major pro is that it'll help people that don't feel like going to external sources, and it'll help those that simply do not have the time to go to the external sources to find a group. You could always just go to the dedicated world and hang around the entrance and hope that people will let you in. If you aren't in bronze gear, I think you have about a 50% chance of finding a group that's willing to take you in while you learn. Just be upfront that you're learning. There is no shame in that at all. Just say, hey, I've never done this before. You can even say that, hey, I have 10 KC, but that was forever ago, and honestly, I don't remember, right? God forbid you forget. Almost as if we're like human beings. There's much more shame in having 1000 KC at a raid and not being able to carry a learner, right? Imagine you've spent 1000 KC somewhere and you can't carry someone who doesn't know what they're doing. You can't teach. It's actually more of a reflection on them. And that's why you'll see a lot of them get angry. But now we have to do something that is equivalent to what people would call terrorism, war crimes. And by that, what I mean is we need to compare old school RuneScape to World of Warcraft. There's something that could be added to the game that would be like a halfway point between adding a group finder, and that is a local chat. In World of Warcraft, when you enter a zone, you're able to talk to everyone that's in the zone by switching to that certain chat. Also, inside of the cities, there's like a trade chat that everyone's able to join to communicate with each other. So consider when you're in Mauritania, you could join the Mauritania chat and see if there's anyone trying to send some raids. And you should also have the ability to turn that chat off or just simply not join into it, right? Those would be pretty common sense solutions and things that could be added with it. This could possibly be something that's good, but there's a lot that could be problematic with it. One main thing is that bots spam the frick out of the chats. Like in old school RuneScape, bot spam is unmatched. And there's also that one e-girl that has her bots spamming the chats, trying to lure you to the blue site. And what's worse, being lured to the wilderness or being lured to the blue site. For me, the blue site is worse because that's real life shekel bucks that I'll be losing out on. And when I'm getting scammed in old school RuneScape, at least I'm still playing old school RuneScape. Is that like weird, crazy, wild cope from someone who's been so addicted and damaged from a game? It's like, well, I was hurt, but at least I was hurt by the thing I love. All right, let's stay on topic here. So besides outright adding an in-game matchmaker or having a RuneLite plugin party finder thing, the extended chat feature could possibly help with our group finding situation. But maybe not so much for the timid Timmies, right? They'll still be in that same boat of not being able to socially interact with people. Trust me, I'm one of them. I know that this is a big struggle for the average player, the grouping aspect, and honestly, I'm not entirely sure how to go about fixing it. I think Jagex have done a pretty decent job accommodating the raids to the average player. And like I said before, there's no shame at all in learning, even if it means doing a raid 100 times before you can get a deathless run in. None of us are perfect. Trust me, I'm the closest thing to perfect. And even I'm not perfect. Even each raid party system is a little different. Like in TOB, there's like different targeting priority from the bosses, depending on who's the leader. I think it would be nice if things in old school RuneScape were just a little more universally consistent. Honestly, it's been so long that the game has been running, it might not even be the most important thing. Also, one last thing that could happen is that if there was a legitimate group finder, there could be a way that you can toggle free-for-all and toggle splitting, so that whenever someone does get a drop in the group, if they toggled it for splitting, they would have a certain amount of time to get to the Grand Exchange and sell it, or it could automatically sell and the money would be split, so it could prevent scams, right? So, right, you logged in that you're splitting, guess what? You're splitting. There is no more, oh, we got scammed, da, 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 da. Maybe I'm trying to fix something that isn't a problem. Whatever. Let me know. Do you think Jagex should add a matchmaker / group finder to old school RuneScape? If you think this is or isn't a problem, you should check out my previous video where I discuss the true biggest problem in old school RuneScape. I'll attach it here, there, somewhere like that. And with all that said, have a good now and happy scaping.